Hello there my fellow holotable heroes and welcome to another SWGOH video. So in today's video I don't have any battle gameplay for you, but instead I just want to talk about how I am farming relics. Now no matter where you are at the moment in the game, how much gear stash you have, at some point you will start running out of that gear that you then can exchange with the scavenger to convert into relic material, especially if you're going hard after galactic legends. There's a lot of relic requirements there. I know, I started playing in I think December 2015, so I had huge stash of gear, and by the time I finished my third galactic legend requirement, when I started working on the fourth, I was out of gear for some of those relic materials, so I had to start figuring out what's the most efficient way to farm these. Is it better to get them from weekly shipment or somewhere else? And so that's what I want to cover here in this video. But anyway, let's first probably start off with the part of the relic materials that's probably the most straightforward here to decide what you want to do with it, and that's the free materials here that you can farm on the Cantina table. So you got the blue, green, and another blue one here. So all of these are 16 energy nodes, which means that per your 100 crystal refresh you get about 7 attempts. Now depending on, obviously the drop rate always varies, but from my experience, just if you want a quick answer, it's better to farm them until you get to the 200 crystal refreshes. Once you start doing 200 crystal refreshes, then I think it's better to just also then buy them with crystal. But as long as you maintain your, just to stick to your free energy and to your 100 crystal refreshes, which I'm currently doing every day because I'm going after Lord Vader requirements, so I'll have another 3 months probably of relic farming to get there, then these are still better value. Now from what I can see, these guys over here per refresh, I would say on average I'm getting about 10 per refresh. So if you compare that with the crystal pricing in the shop, you get 50 there for 750 crystals. But if you're just doing refreshes at 10 per refresh, you will get 50 in 5 refreshes. So it's kind of 500 crystals for 50 if you're farming, or 750 if you buy in weekly shipments. So there you go. It is significantly cheaper for the 100 crystal refreshes, but once you get into 200 crystal refreshes, if you go in there, then just better buy those from weekly shipments. So moving on onto the green one here. Now the drop rates on these ones, for at least from my experience, is a little bit lower. Maybe I'm getting 7 or so per refresh. So this rate, if you look at for 50 pieces in shipments, you will pay 1000 crystals from farming. Probably to get 50 pieces you will spend about 700 crystals for those refreshes. So similar like the first piece, as long as you stick to 100 crystal refreshes, it will be cheaper obviously to just get it from here. And finally, the drop rate of this piece from my experience is even worse. I'm getting probably about 4 per refresh or so on average, but still because the cost of 50 of these is higher in shipments, it's actually 1500 crystals, whereas just farming, probably to get 50 pieces I would need maybe 1200 crystals. So on average, as you can see, by farming these on Cantina nodes, just doing your 100 crystal refreshes, you can save 300 crystals per 50 pieces or so on for each. Obviously the whole dilemma here is with farming these guys from Cantina is that you can't farm any characters at the same time. Just now Dash was released onto the Cantina farm, and unfortunately I can't farm him yet until my Lord Vader relics are done. So if you do want to maybe farm character and relics at the same time, then maybe do 100 crystal refreshers for the characters, and then 200 crystal refreshers won't be worth, and then you can just buy from shipments. So that's probably the best way if you want to do character farming and relic farming at the same time. Alright, so the more straightforward things out of the way, now let's move on to the scavenger here, and just to see what the rates are between the cost. Now all of these can be found in weekly shipments, so all the crystal costs that I will be referring to are all somewhere in this endless list of stuff. So there we go. So all the prices here that I'll be mentioning are crystal prices from the weekly shipments. just so for reference that you know where those prices will be coming from when I'll be comparing each piece, where the best way to get it. All right, so Carbonite circuit board. This is the piece that probably you will run out the first, at least for me that was the case. So the best way to get these guys is actually to farm the gear. So here on light side, here in first zone, so on 1D, essentially all 4 of these pieces of gear here that are listed can be converted to Carbonite circuit board. And what's more, as you can see, this has very high drop rate, triple the drop rate of the others. Now from my experience, if you do 3 refreshes, so for 150 crystals, you can then craft about 40 boards. Okay, so what this means in total is that let's hop into scavenger, just to see. So you will get enough of those guys that I showed you there. Where are they? So these ones and 3 other pieces from 3 refreshes, 150 crystals, you will be able to craft about 40 boards, which is pretty good. So if you compare it to the crystal cost, basically, the cost there is, so in weekly shipments you can get 120 boards for 600 crystals. Now to get 120 boards, you would, from farming, if you just do 350 crystal refreshes, you would spend 450 crystals. So there's about 150 crystals saving per 120 boards if you farm instead of doing weekly. So you can see, again, a little bit cheaper, same as Cantina if you're farming, but obviously if you do want to go into 100 crystal refreshes, then might as well better spend those crystals in weekly shipments. So definitely this 1D node is probably a gold mine for this Carbonite circuit board. It's a low energy, so you can get lots of gear quite quickly. All right, so moving on, Bronzium Wiring. Now for this one, it hasn't been that much of an issue for me, but it can get problematic as well. The best way to get these is actually to farm these pieces here. Mark 5 Fabritech data pad. So if I go ahead and find it here, so what you want to do is actually farm the node here with your Kyrotech. And the reason why this has never been an issue for me, because whenever I'm farming for Galactic Legend ticket on the light side, I'm always hitting this Kyrotech node. So while I'm farming tickets, I'm farming Kyros as well as these Mark 5 data pads that I can then convert into Bronzium Wiring. Now if you do pure crystal analysis, I mean, you know, depending again on the drop rates, but I would say probably per refresh you can get about 6 of these, which works just a little bit cheaper actually than crystals, not a whole lot. So for example, in weekly shipment you can get 75 wiring for 1500 crystals. Now if you would be farming the node there that I showed you with these guys, you would have to do 28 refreshes actually, so it's quite a lot, which is 1400 crystals, so only 100 crystals cheaper than buying from weekly shipments. But there is a big but, you will also be getting probably about, from all these refreshes, you will probably get about 50 cars as well thrown in there, right? So essentially if you take then as well the extra bonus of those 50 cars is 700 crystals. So you could say that effective cost of farming these is actually only 700 crystals, because you're doing Kyrotechs at the same time anyways. So again, a very good way as well if you're farming tickets for a light side Galactic Legend, you know, you can knock out 3 birds in one stone. So there you go, Bronzium Wiring, that's the piece there you want to farm and then convert. All right, so moving on, we got the Chromium Transistor. Now this one here, the best obviously piece here is Mark 7 armor mod. Now the issue is that, for example, you will have to have a character that you can craft these, because CG still hasn't added here summer option to craft. So it's a bit a tricky one, because you don't have a character at that gear level that you can actually craft these. It could be problematic. Now some people, I think they like to use Ognot, but I think my Ognot is too high already, or not high enough, I don't know. So what I actually do, I'm using Lobot here. So I'm using here Lobot to craft this piece. Now if you're looking for what character at what gear level needs this so you can craft, you can hop over to SWGOH website, and there you can find it. So let me show you now where you can find that. Alright, so this is the SWGOH website. I'm sure you're familiar with it. So what you want to do is go on database and gear, and then you simply search for armor, and there you go, Mark 7 armor mod. So you click on that, and if you scroll further down, it will show you which characters at what gear level they're using this. So you can see Ognat there at gear 5. Now mine's at gear 6 actually. That's why I'm actually using Globot. I'm keeping Globot at gear 6 so I can keep crafting this piece. So if you're wondering what character you have in your roster that needs this piece to craft it, definitely go to this page and have a look around and see where and how you can craft this piece. Alright, so let's hop over back to the game and talk about where to get all these components from to craft armor mod. Now in my cases, mostly for me, I would say it's free. I'm not spending anything. I'm just kind of utilizing here the donations from my guild. So whenever I need some, I just request this, and in most cases it gets filled pretty quickly. It depends again on your guild mates. Do they have these guys stashed or not to share? In my case, in most cases I do. So for me, getting these armor mods is free. Then I just go ahead and craft them. Now obviously if you do farm them, they still work out cheaper. So you just have to farm one of the lower energy mods. So just kind of probably from my calculations, what I'm thinking here is on weekly shipments to get 50 transistors, it costs you 2000 crystals. But from farming all of these guys, you also have to farm then these ones for some reason I got hundreds of. So from my calculation, even if you farm these, essentially you only need kind of 150 crystals to get 50 transistors, just because you know, it's a low energy node, good drop rates, and this has very high value. So even if you have to farm them, they are really cheap to do that. But again, you just have to make sure you do have a character available that you can craft these pieces on. Alright, so up next, Aurodium Heatsink. Now, absolutely best one for here is this one here, Holo Projector. Obviously do craft it, because if you craft it, it's worth 500, and if you just do individually, it's much lower. You will only get 200 for 20 pieces, because you need 20 of these pieces to craft one of these. Again, in my case, I don't spend anything, it's absolutely free. So what I do always in here in guild store, I always make sure to pick these guys up whenever they show. I think you get 5 for 260 tokens and 10 for 520 tokens. So whenever they show up, if I have less than 80, I'm always buying them. I always have 80 on hand, just in case, you know, you do need to convert those. So very straightforward and easy, this one. Now if you do want to spend crystals, I think one of these does cost 300 crystals in shipment, so it still works out much cheaper than buying heatsinks actually from the shipments. Okay, so let's slowly getting into the high gear now. Again, in my case, because you know I've been a long time player, having lots of Sith raids, I have a lot of these guys already stocked up, because not many characters really need these, and these as well. And these, like majority of characters, will most likely need other pieces like this one. But these three are not that common across characters. So over time, you just hoard up these from Sith Raid. And again, it doesn't cost me a single thing to exchange these at all. Otherwise, in terms of farming, I don't think like it's worth farming these individual pieces. The drop rates are not that good. So if you don't have these guys geared up, might as well save up crystals and get them from weekly shipments. So you will spend 2,300 crystals for 20 of these. Okay, so moving on, we are now getting really into the gear already, sorry, Relic 7 stuff. So these guys, again, I don't have a lot of these gear hoarded. So what I do is I'm just buying them from shipments if I need. So 5 cards cost their 700 crystals. Again, drop rates on all of these gear is so bad that I don't know. I just don't like farming these. Instead, I just save up crystals there. Okay, and Impulse Detector, Relic 8 materials. Okay, now this is getting much harder now. The cost in weekly shipments for 5 of these is 900 crystals. Again, in my case, I'm not farming all of this because the drop rates are so bad. If I do need, I'll just buy them from Shipments, and because of the high cost, I really don't relicate any character unless it's a Galactic Legend requirement, and that's it. Like all my Galactic Legend, Relic 7, heck, my Jedi Master Kenobi is still at Relic 5. I'm really saving up, you know, all these Relic 7, Relic 8 pieces just for Galactic Legend requirements. Okay, now coming to Relic 9. Personally, I don't worry about Relic 9 at all yet, to be honest. Whenever I do get into Relic 9, it will be only because if it's a Galactic Legend requirement. I see little benefit to invest so much resources to get any character to Relic 9 at this point. Now, if you do want, there are obviously two ways you can farm all of these gears slowly, but again, drop rates on this gear is so bad. I would just suggest you buy this gear from Shipments whenever you can. There you go, weekly shipments, 25 pieces for 875 crystals. So in order for you to get a character to Relic 9, you need 20 of these, and if you're buying all of these materials from Shipment or farming, you are probably looking at 9,100 crystals just for 20 of these. And that's why, as you can see, I'm staying away from Relic 9 at all costs, because hey, it's just too costly. Alright guys, I hope this video was useful and helpful, just showing you where and how I'm farming different relic materials, whether it's from Cantina or exchanging in Scavenger, either for, you know, gear I'm farming or gear I hoarded up from elsewhere. Obviously everybody's a different place in the game, you know, whether you're running their certain raids or not, you're going after Galactic Legend or not, at some point you will need to start farming up these relics. So hopefully me sharing with you how I'm sorting this out will help you a little bit in your resource management for the relics. Alright guys, thank you for watching, I'll see you in the next one, but until then, have fun, enjoy life, and may the RNG be with you, my friends.